Hi guys, what's up? It's Avialence here, and I'm joined by whoever wants to go first. What? One
Jordan.
of you two? Jordan.
And Enrique.
And Enrique. These are actually some of my fellow employees over at Gamersat Weekly, and we're big Elder Scrolls fans, all of us. So, you know, we kind of have opinions about the Elder Scrolls Online, and I've done a couple of these videos here on YouTube before, and, you know, if you guys are listening to this on the Gamersat Weekly website, thanks for joining us for this as well. But this is just like a little podcast, kind of video podcast, because QuakeCon demo just happened, which is actually a pretty big deal for Elder Scrolls Online. This is the first time they were actually showing off the game in, you know, we think it's ready quality. So, like, initially, though, let's go ahead and do, like, overall. I mean, Enrique, what'd you think overall? Like, what was the standstill on this?
I mean, the whole we think is ready quality is questionable. I mean, I understand it's still in beta, so I did notice some minor issues with, like, graphics and animation stuff, but I guess that's to be expected. But overall, though, I'm kind of torn because on the one side, it's got so many little details that, you know, remind me of what an Elder Scrolls game is in terms of, like, the way the interface looks. I mean, they have the little eye that opens up in the center to show if, you know, you're within sight of, like, the enemies and all that, which is really cool. But at the same time, I mean, looking at it in an MMO atmosphere, it just looks so chaotic with, like, spells flying and, you know, other players running back and forth. It's, I don't know, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the... It was nice to see those touches there because we'd seen, like, demos and we'd seen rendered stuff, but it really wasn't, you know, a live demo, which is what I think made this so significant because it did showcase some of that stuff. Now, the quality was there as far as, like, environments go, which is honestly what I was worried about.
Oh, no, yeah, I mean, they look gorgeous, but I mean, to be honest, I actually wasn't even worried about that because, I mean, all Bethesda games that I've played up to date, I mean, they've always paid a lot of attention to, like, environment and everything like that, so.
True. Now, what about you, Jordan? What was your initial thought on it?
I thought the first thing that really got my attention was it did look really nice. It actually looked better than I thought because I've been trying to get into the beta for a long time and I haven't really been paying attention to it until I watched this gameplay video.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. The environments and the enemy creatures and everything's really detailed. It looks really great. But the whole time what I was thinking is this didn't feel like Elder Scrolls to me. It was just too fast, too chaotic. I mean, maybe that goes more to the type of play style I have, more slow and, you know, kind of like a, you know, I try and play like a ninja almost.
Right.
So when I saw the Archer gameplay, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, you brought that up too.
Yeah, that's actually the first piece on our topic list. Like, we're just basically what we're going to do is go through the demo, like, frame by frame, basically.
Okay.
And you guys, if you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, you are seeing the demo in the background here. So that's actually something that is huge. Jordan, you're absolutely right. Archery. I am a big archer myself. I didn't know you were, like, a ninja player, so that's awesome. I didn't know that. But, like, you're so right. It's slow-paced, and you want it to go that way. And even when it was, like, single-player, because we saw, like, a little bit of, like, a little kind of quest-killing demo, and the stealth aspect was there, because you mentioned, Enrique, that we saw, like, the eye and everything, and that was cool that it's there, but it felt so quick. Like, he did... maybe it's because it's a demo, right? Because he was on a time limit, but...
Right.
The archery thing that killed me, that bow was not fully pulled back once for all 28 minutes.
Dude, that was a rapid fire bow. Didn't you know that?
God. It's not like Van Helsing's crossbow. It's Elder Scrolls.
It's got the tightest bowstring I've ever seen in the world if it's shooting that fast.
Right? That or the guy's really weak.
Yeah.
Could go both ways. No, what'd you guys think about the bow and the archery gameplay now that we've seen it?
Well, I mean, like you said, like the whole bow not being able to be pull back and all that, you could just chalk it up to, hey, it's still in beta, so a lot of the animation's probably not 100% finalized. But at the same time, going with what Jordan said, it is an MMO, and you have to take into account you are playing with other people, and you know the enemies aren't just focusing on you. It's it's kind of all over the place. So I feel also that might be a design choice where, for an archer, you don't have the option to pull your string all the way back and wait 3-4 seconds to line up the shot. It needs to be faster paced to keep up with everybody else.
True, and I mean I could see that it being an online game. Again, that's one of those Elder Scrolls things. It's like, all right, I'm happy they decided to do it where it's like real action, right? Where it's not like because a lot of people always ask me the question like, why do you not play archers and stuff on MMOs? And it's because I have no control over where I shoot and how I shoot.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. No. I played a hunter for a while when I used to play WoW, and I always felt like the class that would go and grab a mob and bring it back to the group and stuff like that. But imagine in this context, you're doing exactly like you do in say Skyrim, where you're creeping up to a group and you line up your shot, you hit them directly in the head, and it's a double, because you get the stealth bonus and then you get a bonus for hitting him in the head. Like, if it actually mattered where you hit somebody and you got critical hits and stuff like that, that would make me care more because it's actually skill based.
Right.
See, that actually makes me wonder though, because like I said, you notice you had the little like eye in the center of it, and I threw it into the gameplay demo when they're fighting that boss. You notice that's opening and closing depending where the boss is positioning. So I'm kind of wondering, does that mean that they're going to have those kind of stealth bonuses?
I mean, I assume that they are, because he did say during the demo, Paul Sage, that is, said, it looks like blah, 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 I got a sneak shot in there. So I think they're there, but the question is, like, later in this video, as you guys are watching, you'll see the dungeon. And the dungeon, I think, overall was actually really impressive. But you saw that the archer was not playing it. He was playing more of a combat archer role than a stealth archer role. And that could be, I know people who do that too. They prefer to be like a ranger more than an assassin, right? And, in that combat archer role, you are typically right there kind of supporting and backing up and supporting. So it felt more like he was playing a ranger. But I'm curious, like, me and Jordan's play style, can we go in the back of that room behind those enemies and snipe with stealth shots and get those like bonus kills? Because that's what I love about my characters.
Yeah, get the bonus kills, and then even maybe kill someone and do it without the other people noticing. Like, clear a couple people out of the room for your group, so that way you don't have such a big mob, group to deal with. That would be amazing. That's what I'm saying. Is the difference between just positioning your character to get a sneak shot and actually having the skill to line it up and get where you need to be. Like, that's what I'm looking for, and I really hope it's there.
Yeah, and I mean, this is beta, and I was hoping, the environments look huge too. Like, we're going in there, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. I mean, let's talk about skills now. So we did see what the skill menu looked like. So you have your skill lines, your active abilities, then your racial abilities, your weapon abilities, your armor, etc. And it seems like it functions very similar to the kind of the look, the visual style of the Guild Wars menus, but with the actual Elder Scrolls combat style. Because he did say that any character can use any weapon, and any character can use any piece of armor. So you could be a mage in heavy armor, essentially. Which I'm happy that's still there. Like, I know we knew about this, but it was good to kind of see it in action, right? Because we knew about this way back when.
Yeah.
But it was good to see it in action, and good to see that it's like actually there. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about this? I mean, I think it's a pivotal thing that we need to have in an Elder Scrolls game, but, I mean, how do you feel like actually seeing it in action?
Well, for me, that made me instantly happy because, the problem with, like, when they make MMOs is honestly, like, World of Warcraft has been, like, one of the most popular MMOs, right? So when a new game comes out, immediately they try to, cut and paste from World of Warcraft because, hey, that's what's successful, let's do this. Same way, like, every shooter tries to copy Call of Duty, it kind of want to go. So when someone announces Elder Scrolls MMO, you have people that are in two camps. One of them are saying, oh, hey, this would be great, Elder Scrolls MMO. The other people are thinking, why do I want, like, another WoW clone, essentially? Right. And for me, like, I think it's awesome that they're actually including it that way, because for me, it tells me, oh, hey, they're at least trying to differentiate this. They're making this like an Elder Scrolls style game where, you, like you said, you can be a combat mage that running around in full plate, blasting, switching swords, and then freezing somebody's spells and going back and forth like that. Agreed.
No, it was awesome to have that. I mean, and then you saw too, we did see weapon switching early on. So, with the skills showcase, the skill menu was there. It looked okay. Again, that's something that, like, I'm going to spend, 4 hours clicking through when the game comes out, or I finally get in beta. I am so mad about that. We're all press in this podcast. We're all press. Not one of us has gotten in the beta yet. Not one of us.
Don't get me started on that, dude. I have one friend that did get in the beta, and I wanted to, like, punch a baby when he told me, because this is a guy that doesn't even play games. The only reason he even signed up for this is like, oh, I guess it seems kind of cool.
Yeah, and that frustrates me. I mean, it really does, because Jordan was, I know, Enrique, you're new to Gamersalt, but, I mean, me and Jordan, I remember being in my college classroom back in January when they announced it, and I remember spending almost 2.5 hours instead of studying psychology, filling out this application with
really
videos and background and my entire computer information, all of it. And it got me a 10 out of 10 or whatever that was to get into the beta.
Yeah,
Plus, I was press. Plus, I was press.
And you
I
got
know
that little
Jordan
thing
did
that
the
said,
same.
like, you're very likely to get chosen.
Yeah, and then it's just like, no. And I've emailed their PR office a couple times. I've tried to get in, and it's just no success. I mean, no success. And I've never had this issue.
Showing up to, like,
It's so
their houses
weird.
late at night in front of their windows while they shower.
Yeah, with a sign. Put me in!
Or,
I mean,
or
like-
stereo.
All you gotta do is stalk them until they panic and give in.
Right.
That
yeah,
works,
but
right?
that's been in like in all honesty though, professional manner. I mean, it's been frustrating. Jordan, you haven't had luck getting in. None of our staff have they?
No, and we've all filled out the information. We all like have shown our credentials. It shouldn't be this difficult for. I mean, it's really just free publicity for them, and all of us definitely have the chops to be able to really give them good feedback. So I don't.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand what is going on over there and what their process is, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
It's so bad.
The only thing I can say is that it's the same way, how sometimes in betas, they select people that have kind of underwhelming PCs and stuff. They probably also want to, test it not just with the hardcore gamers. They want to see what the opinion is of the general public because, they know the gamer's going to buy it regardless. They want to know, like Joe Schmo that, barely touches games in his life. Hey, is this something that you're interested in? Give us your feedback.
Right, and that's probably why your stupid friend was in instead of us. But I mean, I think our point is though, we're press. I mean, all things considered, I mean, we're not like a studio that can like send us on a plane out to Bethesda to get a demo like ourselves. But the fact that we cannot get into the beta and we're press is what really bothers me, which makes you wonder what process they have under the hood. Because I know they need to test low-end PCs, they need to test high-end PCs, they need to test mid-end PCs, they need to test Mac stuff, right? Because they're on the Mac.
Hey, everybody plays Mac.
Some people do, and I really tell them they shouldn't. But they need to test all these different things, and that's totally okay. And I know there's only a couple thousand people in the beta, but it just really bothers me the fact that I haven't been able to get into it yet. Jordan hasn't been able to get into it yet. None of our staff have, and all of our staff applied. So it's a little frustrating. But anyway, moving back onto this stuff. So we did see the skills, we did see that. We're not going to really touch on that a lot because it's already there. The other thing we saw was teleportation via the way shrine system. So this is like quick travel. It's kind of a waypoint system, so to speak. But how'd you guys feel about this way shrine system? Do you feel like it fits Elder Scrolls, but it also fits the MMO world? Because it kind of seems like flight points in World of Warcraft.
I feel that, like, if you just use the system that's in Skyrim, it totally breaks kind of the aspect of MMOs that make it so great. The exploration and moving around, and if you can just get anywhere at any time, it just, I don't know, it would kill an MMO for me. And I think
right.
Yeah, so having this system is a good, middle of the road decision that I think will work. Yeah, I mean it is similar to other MMOs, but I think it works here, and I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah, no, I think it fits, and the good thing too is it fits the lore of Elder Scrolls. Like that's believable, which is huge. I mean, I thought that it worked well. I mean, it's simple. Again, there's a lot of the stuff we can't like really elaborate on unless we want to talk about individual pixels. It's not like examining Dead or Alive. We can talk about how much boobs bounce. But that kind of right. So, but as far as the way shrine system goes, I think it fits. It works. It's not a big deal. I mean, do you agree with me or us on that, Enrique, or do you feel any differently about it?
I don't know. I mean, I like that because like I said, one thing that I'm guilty of with like the Elder Scrolls series in general, though, is like the game is so huge that after a while, you just like my ADD kicks in and I don't know what I'm doing half the time. You know, I'll be like knee deep in some kind of like goblin horde banquet doing like whatever, and I'll feel like doing something else. And I mean, as a gamer, it's going to be annoying to have to backtrack by foot the entire way. So I mean, way shrines are just it's a nice convenience and it fits.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go, way shrines, people. So another thing I didn't expect to see is holy crap mounts.
Oh, finally.
That's like we've all played MMOs. We all know what one of the biggest questions is that people ask in an MMO. What about mounts? Yeah, they just showed it, and they were all nonchalant about it too. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's on his horse." So we did see a horse mount.
What do you think?
Yeah, horse. Do you speak it? No, so they exist. The horse was showcased here. It randomly appears, which I thought was kind of funny. How like your horse is just like poof, and then it's in the game, and you get on it.
Yeah, I'd almost rather have like a Ocarina of Time, call for your horse and it just runs out of the distance or something. Like, just appearing kind of feels weird. I don't know.
I don't know, man. You're also talking about a game where you can materialize like Daedric weapons out of thin air. So
This is
I'm
true.
okay.
That's
This is
true.
kinda meta.
Yeah.
Well, then make like a spell animation. Make it some type of like ruined item that you have, and you summon
Summon Arvak. That's your
Yeah.
horse.
Oh man, that'd be so awesome.
That is the best horse ever. No, so that's there. I mean, it looked good, actually. I was kind of surprised. The only question I would be curious about is there mounted combat? But I
That's
highly
what I-
doubt.
yeah.
Or is there horse armor?
There's got to be horse
Well,
armor, let's be
that's
honest.
the most
That's
important
gonna
question.
be-
But let's talk about combat first. I mean,
Yeah. Well, mounted. Well, we'll talk about mounted combat. I mean, this is a big thing in Skyrim that they added in, and it's not really. I wouldn't say polished, but it works.
Yeah.
In the sense of Elder Scrolls. So I'd be curious if there is mounted combat in this. In this game, but I would also say that I don't know about that because traditional MMOs always debounce you when you enter combat.
Yeah, and I mean, and just based on how you summon it and stuff like that, I mean, they're making it seem like the horses or like the mounts are just seriously something there. It's a convenience thing. Like, you summon it, pops out thin air, ride your thing, and then it'll just disappear when you're done.
Right.
So-
And that's kind of the impression I get. Although mounted combat would be pretty cool, especially in those PvP battlegrounds. But then everyone would be on a horse. I have to consider that.
Of course.
Everyone would be on a horse. Like, oh, hey, of course, a horse. And it just, like, runs at you, and then everyone's mounting horses because it's OP.
But imagine, I mean, you could kill their horse. It could completely different, like, tactical advantage you have there.
Yeah, and that quality couldn't be on an online MMO with hundreds of thousands of people.
Of course not. Someday.
Thanks, current-gen consoles. You guys suck.
Oh, man. How awesome would it be to have, like, Elder Scrolls Online on the Rift, Oculus Rift?
Dude. I'd probably get motion sickness, like, from being on top of a wall and falling off.
Dude,
Exactly.
I will gladly joy puke every time I play that game.
Joy puke.
This is amazing.
you just have a puke bag right in front of you.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Dude,
Your
gamers
girlfriend
will find a
walks
way.
in. It's worth it. Shut up. No, some mounts are there. They exist. Horse armor, on the note of horse armor, I think those will be just like in the different mounts. I'm sure you'll be able to collect mounts and buy different mounts, and I'm sure there'll be like horse armor. I'm sure you're going to also see some other mounts. I'd love to like ride a giant ass lizard from Black Marsh, for example. I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're just going to keep it like traditional horses, or if they're actually going to add a couple of the other, like fauna.
I think they
from.
kind of have to though. It's in the lore.
I would hope so.
Yeah, because I know the.
I would love to ride the lusty Argonian maid into battle.
The lusty. That's a good one.
See what I did there?
Yeah, that's great. No, there are like lizard mounts. There's also different mounts in the desert that the Khajiit ride around as well. So I know that they exist. They're different than other than horses, that is. So I'd be interesting. And then you also have Silt Striders and stuff from Morrowind.
Oh man,
So-
that would be amazing if you could like break those
Wouldn't it?
back.
Oh, dude. The Netches are in there. We saw them in this demo, which is cool. Okay, so we have that. Now let's go on to the UI, and then we'll actually touch on weapons. So with the UI, it looks and feels like Elder Scrolls. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, did you guys? It feels like Jordan said, a faster paced Elder Scrolls,
Right.
because just of the way it is, and that's just to reduce latency online, I think.
Yeah.
Plus,
which
it's still
is
in
fine.
beta. Yeah, plus it's still in beta. No, but I mean, did you guys, as far as like the UI, are we all in agreement? Like, there's really not much to talk about on that.
No, dude, I loved it. It's completely unobtrusive. I mean, it's a throwback to the Elder Scrolls game. I noticed, like, you had the little action bar on the bottom, but that doesn't seem like to be a major focus. So
Yeah, it seems like it auto hides, and it's only on some specific abilities.
Yeah.
Like that, the Templar Spear he kept throwing. That's a class you're seeing being played right here. Again, if you're watching the video part of this podcast, but that's the class you're seeing, and there was like this Templar Holy Spear or something that he kept using, and that was one of his 5 abilities on the bar.
yeah, and I like the transition, especially when they go into like their first person view as well. So it's very smooth.
Yeah, no, very smooth. And speaking of first person, third person, I'm a big third person player. What about you guys?
Same here, especially when it comes to the MMO, because I mean, like, I don't want to sound like a diva, but I want to see what my character looks like, especially when I get all that badass looking gear. So
Right. Jordan?
I use it when I'm traversing and platforming, just because I like to see where I am in the environment. But when
Right.
I'm being a ninja and I need to get that shot, I'll go into first person.
First person?
Yeah. But other
I
than
do
that,
that swap too.
Yep.
well, it's weird. Like, I don't know if like people that play first person are going to be at a disadvantage when you do PvP, because I mean, like third person, you get to see everything around you, and that's one of the big appeals to doing it in, on MMO. So
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think PvP will be interesting. Still haven't seen PvP. They haven't apparently released it in beta, according to a bunch of lucky people that shouldn't be in there that I know.
No bitterness, of course.
Gosh, no bitterness. We're best friends.
Not at all.
But I'm interested to see how a lot of this carries into PvP, and I don't even want to think about that right now. Like I really don't, because making an Elder Scrolls PvP game, that's got to be hard, and I'm not even gonna touch on that yet. So yeah, the UI was good. It was good. Everyone liked it. All three of us liked it, and hopefully everyone else. Yay. So next is weapons, and let's go ahead and touch on combat. We'll get into I guess we can touch on the dungeon. As far as combat goes, we'll get into the dungeon itself. But to reiterate that point, any player can use any weapon. Any player can use any piece of armor. It's not a big deal. Combat. This is probably what worried me the most. As we said, me and Jordan, that is, we're archers. That is what we play. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have 96 characters on Skyrim. About half of those have been archers. In Morrowind, Oblivion, same thing. I always play archery. And I was not impressed at all. And I understand latency, but if they're going to have real action combat like that, you need to pull the bow back. It was killing me. As far as combat goes, the weapon swapping seemed good. I mean, is everyone in tandem on that? Let's just do this. Let's talk about your play style, and were you impressed with the combat and how it felt here? So, Enrique, what's your play style, and were you impressed with the combat and how it felt in retrospect to what you normally play as?
Well, I usually have two different play styles. Any game that I ever pick up RPG wise, I always do sword and board, warrior, sword, shield. That's just my bread and butter, and we didn't get to see too much of that. But I guess in the dungeon, when you see find the main bosses and the Goblin King and stuff, I mean that combat did look pretty. I mean, it looked pretty standard. Run up, shield bashing the face and all that. So that looked decent. But the other class that I usually like to play is I guess a magic assassin. Yeah. I'm a big fan of summoning the bound bow, summoning the bows and bound weapons and all that, which I think is awesome. So it looked interesting. Like I said, I agree with you. The animation style that did look a little stiff. I mean, the arm with the bow, it looked like the arm was just kind of standing there with no bones in it, just a big extended limb,
jelly limb.
Kind of creepy. No, but I mean, it looks fast paced, and I think that's also part of the the mechanic of the MMO that it has to be.
Right.
But it looks like it's going to be decent. You can't really tell much just by looking at it because it's still an alpha. I really want to be able to play it myself. I want to feel see what the archer actually feels like. And going back to what Jordan said earlier, talking about getting the stealth kills. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, but I remember they did mention that because of the fact that everybody can use every armor, and it's not necessarily going to be class based in the sense where you're not going to have a healer constantly keeping the whole group up and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about control management, and I'm thinking, oh hey, well as an archer, the control management seems like that's right up your alley. It's your job to take out a couple the enemies ahead of thin down the horde.
Well, the healers, right? Because we had that point in the dungeon, and let's just open it up. So there was a dungeon. It was called Fungal Grotto. It was cool, but you talked about control, and that was one thing I was really happy to see in this demo, and I think we all can agree on that. No matter what our playstyle is, or no matter how we play, it was nice to see that everyone does fend for themselves, but they deal with the situation together, and there's no class-based system.
Yep, I agree with that.
I mean, we saw there was an Argonian, and he was kind of like a warrior archetype, right?
Yeah, that's what it looked like, because he was rushing in their melee style. So
yeah, and then you had the player that we were watching, which is the archer, but as a Templar. So I mean, it doesn't feel really limited. But they do have these starting classes, and these are paths you progress through, and they don't really determine anything outside of a set of standard abilities that you level up. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like picking an extra, almost racial ability thing, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. I don't even know why it's there, though, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like it could be without it, but, I've accepted it. So, who knows?
Oh, maybe that's why the archer animation seemed, not as natural, because maybe it's because it's a class. Yeah, it's the class is just a little bit different.
Yeah, who knows? So, I don't know. But yeah, Jordan, anyway, back to the playstyle argument we were having. I mean, Jordan, how did you feel about the overall combat and everything?
I mean, everything, I don't know. You guys were talking about class-based systems and stuff like that, and I completely agree with you. I'm so glad that you're not stuck into a particular role. There's not a healer class and a a warrior class and an archer class, because that would really get annoying. But I play these games as kind of like a ninja, but like a jack of all trades at the same time. I'll go in stealth style, and then when the S hits the fan, I pull out sword and shield or magic. I mean, I'm a death machine walking around pretty much, and it didn't feel that way to me. The archer just, especially because of his animations with the bow, just felt, I don't know why I wasn't seeing that arrow just hit the ground in front of him, and it just him randomly throwing like Templar spears. It just felt weird. Like you said, I don't understand the extra. I mean, it helps everyone kind of define their role, even though they can switch weapons whenever they want. But it still felt kind of strange to be shooting that bow and then all of a sudden throw a spear, and then I don't know. In the end, it just didn't feel like Elder Scrolls to me. And I hope when if I ever get a chance to play it, hopefully not on release, but if all else fails on release, that problem will go away. But I just, other than those complaints, it looked fun. I mean, all those people working together, but still not, constrained to a certain role, and everyone just dealing with problems. It looked fun. I didn't know how I would play that game.
Right, and I think that's a matter of like you have to jump in and actually play it, which is what we're all waiting to do. Because I feel like until I get in that game, I won't fully understand how it feels in accordance to the way I play.
I'll say this though, I mean, a game at least has a lot of potential where the majority of the complaints are just nitpicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here like we're nitpicking, like, oh well, like the bow wasn't drawn back far enough, and I'm nitpicking like, oh well, I don't really see the warrior moving that much. So it's the little details that honestly, I mean, for me at least, I have a bad habit of like I always try an MMO out, if it looks decent. So like with Elder Scrolls Online, I'm gonna pick it up regardless just to play it.
Oh yeah.
So
it's Elder Scrolls, I buy it. That's that simple. I think that's why we are being so nitpicky. All of us are Elder Scrolls fans. We're hardcore Elder Scrolls fans. Like I still have my copy of Morrowind and Daggerfall and Arena. Like I have those still, just sitting up on my shelf.
Dude, I bought the freaking collection on Steam. Like where it had every single one, like Arena, Daggerfall, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm looking at how they're re-releasing like the anthology, and I'm like, oh god, I need to buy that as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh no, that looks fantastic. I will be getting
buy. Click.
Where's my pre-order button? I don't see it.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm definitely getting the anthology. It's just a good kind of memoir, and it has the cloth maps for all of them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's go ahead and actually continue. This was speaking of things that a lot of MMO players typically complain about. This is awesome for me. Loot is instanced. It's specific to your character.
Thank
Yay!
God. Yeah, that has been a relatively recent thing with MMOs and some games. So I'm really glad they're taking that because it was such a pain before.
Yeah, you took that bow. Well, I may use it. And imagine how much of a pain that would be in this game, because you could use every piece of gear.
Yeah.
Everyone could use everything. Like,
well, especially, like, I mean, Jordan, you said, I don't know if Nick ever played WoW at all, but...
I did for 7 years.
I mean, dude, that would tear guilds apart when,
oh, yeah.
like dividing loot, whereas, like you have loot council saying, oh, hey, well, player B does need this bow a little bit more because it's a bigger improvement, but player A's been here for, like 13 consecutive raids without missing one. It's kind of like, what do you do here?
Yeah, you had to set up all these complicated systems to deal with a relatively easy problem because everyone wanted the same stuff. Yeah, DK. Oh man,
DKP.
That was so ridiculous.
I don't even want to talk about that system.
Yeah, and when you just instant the loot and everyone is just you get what you get, it takes care of so many problems.
I wish they did that with Illidan when we had those stupid Warglaive drops.
Oh my god!
I remember everyone was fighting over them. There were like I think 3 classes that could originally use them, and it was like. It's not a big deal, and that's what the solution was. DKP, and it was like just so stupid. Everyone would fight over it. We actually had a guy. I will never forget this. This is when I was like 14, and a Warglaive dropped. It was the right one, I believe, and it was a rogue and a warrior fighting for it. And the rogue wanted it, and the warrior had higher DKP, and they actually got into like this huge fight. over it, and both of them ended up leaving, and the Warclave just like went to dust. It was so stupid. Like it's unbelievable though, and loot shouldn't be that thing, because I could imagine Elder Scrolls. Like all I'm doing is I'm picturing one of our staff members, Nick C, right now. I'm picturing him being like, "Man, I'm a light armor dual welder, but that heavy armor looks really good. I think I'll take that." And then I'll swap my entire playstyle to heavy armar.
He won't even swap. He'll just
so
wear
good.
like the plate just because it looks good.
Nick, we love you, dude. But like, I could totally picture players doing that. I mean, oh, this looks awesome. Let me take this, and then just put it and change their entire playstyle, especially because they make it so easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 3 more things we're going to touch on. We are going to touch on the group system, but before we do that, I actually want to go over 2 quick things. So Death and Resurrection in Elder Scrolls is actually handled quite well. They talked about the soul gem system. So they do have soul gems, and if you have a filled soul gem that's equivalent to like your character level or something like that, he said, you can use that to resurrect on the spot. So that's actually kind of cool. Like,
that's so
the higher
smart.
your character level is, and it fits the lore perfectly. Like, if I have a large, or a grand soul gem, then I can resurrect at like a really high level, you know. And when I say really high level, I mean my character is really high level. So the better your character is, the bigger the soul gem is required, or something like that. But that was actually really cool. If you do die, there is an armor degradation system. So you'll have repair vendors that you have to click on, just like WoW, basically. As far as I know, I don't know if there's an armor ability. I really hope there is, but at the same time, I hope I don't have to buy repair hammers to use it, because Oblivion made me wanted to punch myself every time I had to do repair hammer. Go buy 100 repair hammers, and just bang, 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 and they kept breaking. I was like, why?
Why would you do this?
I know. So, I mean, the soul gem system, I think it works well. And then if you don't have a soul gem, you teleport to the nearest way shrine, which is cool. And it works.
I can't remember, but did they mention whether or not like the soul gem was going to be restricted by whether or not you're like in active combat?
No, but I'm assuming that if you are in combat, you cannot use a soul gem to auto res. Like, that would just be
so no Zerg rushing.
No Zerg rushing, and I think for good reason. I mean, if they did do that, I think you'd have a lot of frustrated people in PvP and stuff.
Understandable.
Like, you kill the whole defensive team, and it's just like, soul gem! It's like, so... I don't know how. I really hope they don't do it that way, but, you know, I can see in maybe longer battles if you're able to use a soul gem or something. I don't know. So we had that. We also had sky shards, which he just touched on, and they're like collectibles, I guess. They look like mineral veins or something.
You know what that reminded me a lot of? Did you play Guild Wars 2 at all?
I did, and it reminds me of the skill point system in Guild Wars.
Like how you can go off and find those little skill challenges that just, hey, look, free skill points. There you go.
Yep, done. And you can throw them in your skill trees. So there was that. It works, I guess. I mean, it works for what it is. I don't think it's anything like too crazy, but, you know, it's there. So, I guess we'll finish by touching on the dungeon. Group play. There's a looking for group system. Not surprising. I mean, it looked like it worked, but it was also staged. So, but it looked like it worked. You can look for groups based on zone, class, dungeon, whatever. It's actually kind of cool. It was really detailed. So, the nice thing is, we talked about this, group play is not class-based.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
That's really good, yeah.
So, no, like, 4-hour waiting queue for DPS.
4 DPS? Yeah, right.
Well, with the systems, with the weapon systems and the armor systems and the fact that you can switch so easily, DPS can simply just be a matter of going back to wherever your gear is and just switching your equipment.
Right. Right, and I'm curious, like, if you have players fulfilling multiple roles and stuff like that. But I mean, I just think it's really cool that in the dungeon they did Fungal Grotto. So they did do the Fungal Grotto dungeon. The fights were all about control management, and the AI was smart, which is really good. If you actually watch the demo, like, really in depth, they had healers healing like the frontal attack units that the players were dealing with, that the archer actually had to go pick off. In order to get through that area, which I thought was really cool. That, or you could, like, you know, have multiple people focus on one target to bring it down and do it that way. It's all about control management. It's all about control management. Thank God.
Yeah.
See, the only thing that I'm hesitant on is how they're going to balance that with players. Because, I mean, a system, it's only as good as the people that are playing it. And I'm going to use the example between, like, World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2. You know, World of Warcraft uses the Holy Trinity, tank, DPS, healer, And when you play your role, you know what you're doing. Tank knows I got to keep aggro, DPS, kill things, healer, make sure everyone's not dying. Unless you're standing in fire, that's your own fault. But right. Guild Wars 2, when I started playing with my buddies, they were boasting oh hey guys, we're not doing the Holy Trinity. Yes, there's classes that are better for certain roles, but you can do whatever you want kind of thing. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of great. But what that actually translated to in practice was me and my buddies beating our heads against the wall for about 2 hours on a dungeon run because we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Right.
Where I would run in and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm a guardian. I guess I'm kind of protecting people, and I try to hold aggro, and I would get destroyed by a whole mob, and then they would go off and pick people off. So it took us a bit of communication as a group to figure out, okay, hey, you know what? Let's hey, I have this ability that'll stun people. Oh, hey, if you use that ability, I can complement it with this. So it took us some communication, and I'm kind of wondering, how that's going to translate into the Elder Scrolls Online with the whole no-class system. Are you going to make it easy enough for anybody to just kind of run in there all willy-nilly, timey-wimey, and just, blow stuff up? Or
right.
Are you going to leave the difficulty scaled up a little bit higher, I guess, later on to where people, oh, hey, I know we all have, do whatever we want, but let's specialize. Like you said, hey, Jordan, you go and take out those healers that are, buffing the party back there. Nick, you stay back here and provide cover fire, so...
Yeah, and that's interesting, and we did see a little bit of that in this demo. Again, it's a demo; it's staged, so I'm sure it's not as difficult as it really would be, or the players aren't they're a higher level than they should be, et cetera, et cetera. But you're exactly right. I mean, Guild Wars, I played both, and when my guild swapped to Guild Wars, I played an engineer, and I found myself using glue shot more than explosive shot, just because it was more about management.
Exactly.
The thing in Guild Wars is, you screw up one thing and they all tear you apart because one player cannot handle multiple enemies.
And I can't tell you how many times I would be downed and someone is right next to me and they can help you up, and somehow they think it's all up to me, and they just destroy everything.
Yeah, and I hope that doesn't carry into the Elder Scrolls. I think based on what we saw here, I think a single player will be able to handle a lot more than what we saw in Guild Wars. And I know they've since fixed that with Guild Wars. They've patched it and stuff because they agreed that it was really ridiculously difficult. So, they fixed that. I think that one player will be able to deal with a lot here in Elder Scrolls as long as they play it smart. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, is unlike Guild Wars, you had different armors for different classes, and different classes could only wear certain things. So, again, I think Elder Scrolls removes that. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays into the whole, hey, this is the percentage of damage, blah, 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 right? So... I don't know. It'll be interesting. I felt overall the group play, it was there. It was simple. I like how you can travel to group members instantly via the way shrine system. That's actually really cool. So if a group member is across the map, you can just be like, oh, way shrine. My only question is if you've unlocked the way shrine. They didn't say that. So if you haven't unlocked the way shrine, someone's in Skyrim and you're down in Daggerfall and you're just like, well, shit. You can't get up there. But I hope that that's there. The fight is all about control management. It seemed well. The combat, really quick paced and really choppy. Again, it's a beta, so that's kind of the gist of it, right? That's our QuakeCon demo.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say though that regardless of the complaints and the inherent bitterness because we haven't been chosen yet, we're all relatively excited for the game.
I still am, absolutely. So overall, QuakeCon demo. A little depressing. I expected more because they've really chalked this thing up on their social media.
Yeah, that is true, actually.
It was 20 minutes long. It was 20 minutes long. I expected an hour.
Yeah, when they cut it short, I was like, that was it? Really?
Yeah. You didn't want to show crafting, or you didn't want to show... There's so many other things they could have shown.
You just showed us a little bit of combat and some of the other systems, and then you called it a day. It just felt really, really just like they didn't really show anything by the end of it.
It's really funny because the Twitch highlight that you guys are watching right now, and if you're watching the video version of this, I just recorded this right off of Twitch. I pulled it from Bethesda, and if you go into the recording, it's an hour and 1 second long, right? Mm-hmm. But 42 minutes of that is them being oh, no, trailer, and it's coming up, and a countdown. I was like, great, it's good all big gameplay. Yeah, so, I don't know.
What you're describing is the gamer equivalent of Blue Ball.
Right. Yeah, so there's that. But anyway, overall, we're all still excited for Elder Scrolls. Again, thank you, Jordan and Enrique, for joining me to do this. whether you guys are watching it on YouTube or watching it or listening to it on Gamersalt Weekly. We're all big Elder Scrolls fans. Everyone on the Gamersalt Weekly staff is big Elder Scrolls fans, and we all know a lot of Elder Scrolls fans. This felt kind of like Elder Scrolls, but I think it still needs a little bit of defining. So that's kind of the gist of the demo. But yeah, again, Enrique, Jordan, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you. It was my pleasure.
So we're actually gonna plan on doing more of these if there's any big demos or anything like that. But if you're on YouTube and you enjoy the video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, hit that like button. Also toss us some comments and tell us what you thought about the demo. If you are going to watch the demo, I would actually recommend like going and watching it on Twitch with Bethesda's page, the recording I have that you guys just watched. It's a little choppy and stuff just because I'm recording it from a live stream, so there's that. But go watch the actual demo and then tell us what you thought about below. Tell us if you agree with us, disagree with us, whatever. Also, feel free to follow us all on Twitter. You can follow me at Avialence, and you'll see all of our Twitters across the screen right now because I don't expect you to spell it off of our voice. Enrique, what's your Twitter at, man?
It's NK1337.
He puts a lot of numbers. And Jordan?
Mine is at TrueVelk.
So, they're all on your
A lot of
screen.
numbers. Just delete. Come on.
Whatever. Yeah,
Kill
I
him,
am
Smalls.
I am one. So, anyway, go follow us all on Twitter. Feel free to tweet your questions and stuff and all that jazz, and we'll be responding to you throughout the entire week. So, thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. And stay tuned for more kind of Elder Scrolls little podcast talk conferences. So, thanks. Have a good one, guys. And we'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.
Later.